Welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video, and today is our pricing video where we go over some of the notable sales from this past week in CGC 9.8 comics. And this is something we do every Sunday, and a lot of the times when you're buying these CGC 9.8 comics, the best thing you can do is, instead of buying an issue that you think is going to go up in price, a lot of the times the best thing you could do is just buy the issue that you want at the right price. Because when we get into some individual issues here, you'll see there's a big range a lot of times between issues. So for the exact same book, a lot of times you can end up paying 10, 20, 30% more than maybe a sale that happened a week or two before. So with that range in price, there's that there's always a possibility that you could overpay. So when you're buying CGC 9.8 comics, a lot of the times, again, the best thing you can do is to just buy the comic that you want for the best price. So yeah, every Sunday here we go over a list of notable comics that I just looked up here on eBay, and all these prices here are going to be US dollar prices. All of them are CGC 9.8s too, unless otherwise noted. And yeah, today they're all CGC 9.8s as well. And again, these prices are from eBay, and it just makes it really easy to kind of do a completed listings search, to do some quick research, to see some of just the latest sales that happened in the past week. So let's get right to it. So CGC 9.8 sales from this past week here. An X-Force number 2, so that's the second Deadpool. Saw one of those sell for $84. And for being second Deadpool, that's actually a pretty good deal, even though, personally, I don't really like that cover at all. And, I find it doesn't really sell that well either. A lot of times you see these X-Force 2s just, for this one selling for $84. You see them posting for around that price a lot, but they don't sell. And I think it's just, not a very cool cover. It is the second Deadpool, but I think even, the third Deadpool appearance even has a cooler cover, and I think that sells a little bit better, which is X-Force 11, I believe. But nonetheless, X-Force number 2, second Deadpool, sold for $84. An Immortal Hulk number 1. This is the first print, the Alex Ross homage cover. No Virgin variant or anything like that. Just the first print Immortal Hulk number 1, sold for $75 in the CGC 9.8. And you see, a lot of really popular new books sort of go in that $70 to $80 range. Maybe $60 to $80 range, I would say. And yeah, so newer books that are really popular, like Immortal Hulk number 1 is a really good example. About $75, you see that going for about that price quite often. But really cool, really collectible Immortal Hulk number 1 Alex Ross cover, looks really awesome. I saw a Secret Wars number 1 sell, so not the Alien Symbiote Secret Wars 8, Secret Wars number 1, and obviously there's a lot of chatter right now with, maybe the next Marvel movie, that's sort of replacing Avengers could be Secret Wars. So Secret Wars number 1 sold for $149, and that's in the CGC 9.8. So a couple of New Mutants 98 sold. Like most weeks they do, there's a lot of them out there. Big range in price this week for some New Mutants 98s. I did see one sell for a really high price, which I hadn't seen a New Mutants 98 sell for this high of a price, so that's kind of good news if you do have a New Mutants 98. But yeah, let's get into some of the prices here. So New Mutants 98, one sold for $749, and then another one sold for $929.99. And these were, both looking pretty good, both direct editions in the new case. But even more kind of weird is another New Mutants 98, I think from a seller that maybe wasn't as popular as some of these other sellers that sold the other two. But another New Mutants 98 sold in a Newsstand version as well, so that's a little bit more rare than a direct version, sold for $660 in an auction. And again, I think this seller wasn't as quite well known as the other, the ones that sold for more. So I think that's why this one kind of went a little bit under the radar, but as a newsstand edition New Mutants 98 for $660, I think that's a really good deal. And obviously in the same week, a non-newsstand direct edition, which is not as rare, one went for $749 and another one went for $929. So yeah, basically same issue, one went for $660 and one went for $749 and one went for $929. So that gives you an idea about, you know, kind of what I said in the beginning, is a lot of times you just want whatever book you do want, whatever it might be, you just want to get it for the right price, because, you know, you could end up paying $929 for the same book or $660. So there's always that range of prices that you want to be aware of. And, you know, definitely this New Mutants 98, the one that sold for $929, you know, if whoever purchased that book, if they did completed listing searches, they would have seen that the past like 30 or 40 New Mutants 98 sold for, you know, about $650 to $750. So really no reason to, you know, pay $929 for a New Mutants 98 in this current environment. And New Mutants 98, there's so many of them. I think that's, you know, the reason why, sort of, you know, when that Deadpool movie came out, there were a lot of predictions that New Mutants was just going to blow up, and that didn't really happen. And it's because it's an early 90s book. There's so many of them. Again, almost 3,000 in the CGC 9.8. So for New Mutants 98, if you do want to buy that one, be patient. There's always going to be like another one popping up. If you got outbid on one, you know, don't get too upset or anything. There's always going to be another one next week or next month. Many, usually each month if you're really on top of the search results. So an Iron Man number 282, which is a first War Machine. This is one that I really want to grab, actually, and it doesn't pop up as much as you may think. But nonetheless, an Iron Man 282 first War Machine sold for $167.50, and I think that's a pretty good deal. That's a deal I'd probably, you know, jump on. It was a new case, looked really good. Amazing Spider-Man 265, which is the first Silver Sable. One of those sold for $199.10. And I'd say that's a pretty good price for an issue like that. You know, you get a first appearance of Silver Sable. Yeah, about $200 for that issue. I think, you know, you see some buy it nows for a first Silver Sable getting up to $300. So to get that for $200, I think is a pretty good deal. An issue here of the moment, I would say, is Eternals number 1. So a signature series, Eternals number 1, signed by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. So two legends. Eternals number 1 sold for $3,800. And yeah, again, with the Phase 4 movies coming out, Eternals is going to be one of the movies. So yeah, I think, you know, literally last month or two, or, you know, a month or two ago, an issue like this maybe would have went for about $1,000, and now $3,800. With the Stan Lee signature, though, maybe a little bit more than $1,000, because I believe it's like a 1976 book, possibly. But Eternals number 1, really hot right now. The whole Eternals, I'm seeing a lot of Eternals books selling for quite a lot of money. And yeah, personally, not the way I like to go about buying comic books. You know, seeing a trailer for a new movie and then all the issues get hot and then buying, that's not what I recommend. You know, personally, you want to buy the books that you really like when they're kind of on the low, where there's no hype, where, you know, you could get a really good deal. Then eventually, at some point, a movie comes out, a pop culture event happens, and then you already have the book. So, you know, you want to kind of position yourself before the hype in the pop culture in the movie. So, you know, wouldn't really recommend buying any Eternals comics right now. Umbrella Academy, Apocalypse Suite number 1. This is just the first print. No, you know, variants of it or anything. Just the first print of Umbrella Academy, which is kind of a popular show right now, kind of catching on. Went for $149.99, and that's in the CGC 9.8. A couple McFarlane Hulk issues went, sold, and both of these were in the old case. So Hulk 345 sold for $249.50, and that's the one where, like, Hulk, it's a McFarlane Hulk cover, and he's like kind of breaking through the Hulk lettering. So that is probably, I would say, the second most popular McFarlane Hulk issue besides Hulk 340. So that one sold for $249.50 US dollars. And Hulk 340 in the old case from the same seller. This guy had almost the whole run of McFarlane Hulks in the CGC 9.8 old case. So Hulk 340 in the old case sold for $370. And it was a really good looking Hulk 340 too. Really bright colors. Yeah, in the old case, so $370 I would say is about a fair price. If that was in the new case, it probably would have went for $400. Because that's in general what you see with Hulk 340s. Depending on the issue and how good it looks in the 9.8, it'll kind of go from like $350 to $450, anywhere in between. A New Mutants 87 first cable sold. And this one was sold at $450 for a best offer. So they actually don't tell you the exact best offer price. So, you know, it was listed at $450 or best offer. It sold, so I'm guessing around $400. This New Mutants number 87 first cable. And I think that's a pretty good deal. $400 for first cable. Really popular issue, that one. You get a, you know, iconic first appearance. And that, yeah, I would say about $400 around there is a fair price for New Mutants 87 first cable. Uncanny X-Men number 164, the Carol Danvers becomes binary. One of those sold for $149.99. A pretty good deal here, I thought. A Detective 532. This is a classic, the Joker cover with the train, the Joker train cover. So a classic Joker cover from Detective 532, sold for $119.95. I think that's a pretty good deal. It's not, you know, not any key issue or anything, but, you know, Joker covers are very collectible, and they do, you know, tend to sell for, you know, a premium to like a non-key issue, I would say. Because, yeah, this Detective 532 is basically a non-key issue, but a Joker cover. So $119.95, not too bad for CGC 9.8 in that. Another pretty good deal I thought here, Avengers 257, the first Nebula, and that issue got really hot in the last couple of years with Nebula being in the Avengers movies and Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Avengers 257, first Nebula, and the CGC 9.8 sold for $168, and I thought that was a pretty good deal actually. I did see that same issue in like a Canadian price variant in the CGC 9.8 go for like $1,000. It was over $1,000. But just you know, normal issue, direct edition, first Nebula, $168. I think that's a pretty good deal. Hulk 250, this one here, really cool Silver Surfer cover in like a double-sized anniversary issue from Incredible Hulk 250. Really cool cover, Silver Surfer Hulk cover, sold for $225. And I thought that was a pretty good deal. You know, you're kind of, I believe Hulk 250, I think it's kind of right in the 80s, maybe just late 70s, I didn't check the date, but a pretty old comic in the CGC 9.8 with a really cool Silver Surfer cover. So I thought that was a pretty good buy there at $225. A Star Wars number 1 sold, and yeah, I could have easily kind of brought out my Star Wars number 1 here. But one just like it sold for $861 in an auction, and it was looking pretty good. New case, very similar looking to mine, $860. Mine I paid about $940, I think it was, like late last year, or it might have been early this year, maybe January of this year. So yeah, still kind of kicking around that same level. You know, this one I don't think the picture looked amazing in the picture, so maybe better picture, this one might have went over $900. But, you know, Star Wars number 1, I do see every now and then, you know, this one going for $861, and it looked pretty good. It was quite centered well. Some that aren't centered so well, a lot of times, you know, they sell for about $800, sort of in that $750 to $800 range. One that's not looking too good in the CGC 9.8, but a really good looking CGC 9.8, like the one that I have, or this one looked pretty good too, even though the pictures, you know, the seller could have maybe did a better job with the pictures. $861 for this one, and I would say that's a fair price. Anywhere from like $850 to $950 for a really good looking Star Wars one, I think is a great deal. in the CGC 9.8 white pages. The Boys #1, so kind of that popular new Amazon series, Boys #1, one of those sold in the CGC 9.8 for $3.08, and that's a price I'm seeing in the last couple weeks here. So that's about a steady price for the Boys #1 right now, about $3.08. But again, you know, really hot show coming out on Amazon Prime, and you know, do you necessarily want to like see that show and know there's tons of hype and go up to buy this book? Probably not. What I would recommend is, you know, maybe wait 6 months to a year until you notice that nobody's really talking about the Boys show at all, and then revisit this issue. I bet it would be, you know, $200 to $250 instead of over $300 right now. So the Boys #1 went for $3.08. Deadpool #1. So we got this issue right here, Deadpool #1. I think, you know, this is a really good issue to grab because you get the first appearance of T-Ray and Blind Al, and you know, with some of the Deadpool, you know, rumors kind of circulating right now, I think having some first appearances of, you know, some other Deadpool characters is a decent kind of speculation. Right now, speculating that maybe, you know, they'll be in the next movie a lot more and it might surprise a little bit. So Deadpool #1, this is the best Deadpool #1 issue too, from the 1997 series, the 90s series. Sold for $174.50, and yeah, the one that sold too was it didn't look very good. It had a little bit of a weird looking kind of edge here, and the pictures weren't very good either, because I've seen this one go for a little bit over $200, I believe. So that's a pretty good price on this Deadpool one, but yeah, something was looking a little funky about the edge spine here. But nonetheless, $174.50 is still a CGC 9.8. Is, I think, a pretty good price for Deadpool #1. And again, yeah, you maybe have some of those catalysts where you get T-Ray and Blind Al first appearances, and that could surprise in, you know, some of these movies coming up in the next couple of years. Uncanny X-Men 282, which is the first Bishop, I think is a really good issue if you're on a budget. And you know, this one here sold for $81.65 for the first Bishop in the CGC 9.8. Yeah, and a lot of the X-Men comics from that era, I think, are really, you know, good deals if you are on a budget and you really like X-Men. So there's like first Mr. Sinister, first Marauders, what do you got? First Jubilee, first Bishop, first new Psylocke. I think all those issues are like really good, you know, issues that Bishop was about 81. A lot of times you can find these type of issues around that price and, you know, still get some cool first appearances but not break the bank. And the last issue is Teen Titans 12, the one we got up here. First full appearance of the Batman Who Laughs. Did a little kind of back issue looking, just in the last month, seeing, you know, the sort of range of prices that these Teen Titans 12s have sold for in the CGC 9.8. So the most recent one sold for $371 US, and that's getting a little higher even from, you know, a few weeks ago. In general, you were seeing these go for like $330, $340. And even I've seen, you know, one dip and it was like $280, I believe, or $290. But this last one's selling at $371. So yeah, Batman Who Laughs possibly heating up again. Yeah, and this is an issue where you know, it's kind of, for me, it's, you know, I already have one, obviously, but for me it's a bit on the same level as kind of the first Miles Morales and the first Spider-Gwen. You know, they're really hot right now. It's pretty hard to justify paying like $400 almost for a brand new, you know, basically a brand new comic that just came out a couple years ago. So that's kind of, this issue's sort of in that same boat. And looking at the range of prices, which I did over the last month, yeah, you're seeing the lowest is about $280, $290, and that's like literally one issue I think went for that. Most of these issues are going from $320, $330, $340-ish. This one, $371, was a little on the higher end, and every now and then you do see one go for like $420. Just, you know, someone wants this issue really bad and just buys it. So yeah, a big range with Teen Titans 12. In some ways, because, the Batman Who Laughs, I think, is basically my new favorite, my favorite, like, first modern villain right now, or even modern superhero right now. So I do kind of want another one of these in the CGC 9.8, but, being in Canada makes it a little bit more difficult, and, the fact that the character is so hot right now. So, I'd possibly look, if an auction kind of came up in Canada or from one of my preferred sellers in the United States that ships to Canada well, I'd maybe, throw out maybe like a 310 to 320 bid on a Teen Titans 12 and try to win it at that price. I do have a feeling that, once Batman Who Laughed kind of hype subsides a little bit, he's got his own limited series right now that just ended. And I think Batman and Superman #1 that's just coming out, he's going to be in that too. But I think the hype should slowly die down here over the next year, and maybe you can grab this for like $280, $270. I think that would be a pretty decent price for, like, I would say one of the most popular modern first appearances right now is the Batman Who Laughs in Teen Titans #12 is his first full appearance. So one of those sold for $371. Yeah, I'm hoping to grab it kind of closer to $280, $290. Okay, so that's all for the price list today. And yeah, as I said at the beginning of the video, checking out these prices and staying on top of prices, if you are really serious about buying CGC 9.8 books, is pretty much the best thing you can do. And if you're not staying on top of the prices, and certainly I'd invite you to always watch this video every Sunday. This is what we do on Sunday, our pricing video. If you can't watch, these videos, if you can't kind of stay up on top of the market, make sure before you buy any CGC 9.8, do a completed listings search on eBay for that specific issue in the CGC 9.8, and make a note of the last 6, 7 final sales prices. Get the average of that. That's going to give you about a fair price that you should pay for your book. Because on eBay, there's always someone out there, with the best offer trying to get $100 or $200 more than what the book's worth. So you just want to stay knowledgeable. You want to be on top of the prices to know what you're paying, and that's what this video is all about. We do this every Sunday, and I do this, certainly every Sunday, and during the week, just looking at comics, I always do this too, because judging for just from experience. The best thing you could do is stay on top of these prices, and rather than trying to buy a book that's going to go up in price, just buy a book that you want and that you love for the right price. And again, staying on top of the prices, doing those searches, those completed listing searches, helps so much. You're going to save yourself some money if you take a little bit of time and get the right information. Okay, that's going to be it for today's video, though, for our pricing video today. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please join the team and subscribe to Team CGC. And hit that bell for all the notifications here. We're doing about 4 or 5 videos a week right now. So you hit that bell, make sure you get all those notifications right away. But thank you very much for watching today, and I'll see you on the next video.